Hey guys, welcome to the fifth episode of GTV Radio. My name is Zaki, and today I'm joined with the counselors, Mr. Post and Mrs. Dickerson. Um, we have some questions for them as per usual, and today we're in the library, uh, just because. So, Raymond wrote us some questions once again, and we're gonna ask them some questions. You know how it goes by now because this is the fifth episode. Make sure to check us out on whatever and hit whatever. And yeah, let's get right into it. I think these questions were written for one person, but I'll just ask each of you like questions and you'll alternate.
Sure. That's fine.
Okay, starting with Mr. Post. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about myself. Okay, so obviously I'm a school counselor here at the high school. I have 5 kids, and I live here in Goshen.
That's good. What about you, Miss Dickerson? What is your job?
I am also a school counselor. I'm for a different part of the alphabet. I have been here, I think this is my 6th year. I was at the middle school for many years before that. And I am married and have 2 adult daughters and 1 son-in-law.
Okay, that's great. Hold on. What inspired you to become a school counselor? Both of you guys can answer this. Doesn't really matter.
First,
I will. I was a teacher. I was a middle school teacher in Ohio and was in my 3rd year and really enjoyed teaching. But my principal that I worked for encouraged me. He saw something that he thought maybe I would be a good school counselor as well. So I went. He encouraged me. There was a graduate assistantship program that was available at a nearby university. So he encouraged me to take a year and pursue that and see if I liked it, and I did. And so I became a school counselor after that, and that's been many, many years ago.
That's great. What about you?
So I also started off as a teacher, and I actually started off at what used to be Merit Learning Center, and was there for a couple years. And I knew I wanted to go back to school at some point and probably get my master's degree. And I always thought I'd go into administration, but once I got started in teaching, the counselor that was there, her name was Ruth Comstock. She used to be here at the high school. And I really liked what I saw her doing, and I thought that might be a better fit for me than doing administration. And so she was getting ready to retire, and so I thought, this is a good opportunity. So I went back to school, became a school counselor, and then I started working as the school counselor at Merit after that.
You just kind of took her job.
Mm-hmm. Worked out really good.
Worked out well.
Had a job waiting for me before I was done, so worked good.
Can you share some key responsibilities that are central to your role as counselor? With you guys.
Well, I think we kind of have 3 different domains, they call it, kind of like the college and career domain and the academic domain and then social emotional domain. So basically we kind of try to help kids through in those 3 areas, whether it's monitoring their grades, keeping track of credits, making sure they get what they need to graduate, but also kind of helping with the navigating through as far as the emotions or the different, like learning how to get along with people, learning how to interact, how to be professional in certain situations, things like that.
I would say too, probably at the high school level, the reality is we spend a lot of time on the academic side.
Mm-hmm.
And probably one of the biggest things now is trying to help people stay on track and know what they need to graduate. And some of the changes that have been made at the state just make that a lot
Mm-hmm.
of stuff to do. So good or bad, we probably spend the majority of
Yeah.
our time doing that, but we try to do those other things as well and make sure that we're helping students plan for what's after high school as much as we can, and then also supporting them social emotionally.
Let's see. How do you collaborate with teachers and parents to support students' academic and emotional well-being?
Yes.
So I guess I would just say the biggest thing I think is just communication and just helping everybody. A lot of times what it feels like as a school counselor, we're the people that try to help connect
Mm-hmm.
the resources. We're not always the people that have all the answers or have the solution, but we're trying to connect those resources. So, if a student's coming to us with some questions, maybe academic questions, other things like that, trying to help them connect to the resources that are going to help them. And sometimes that's facilitating a conversation with a teacher. Sometimes that's bringing in an administrator to help us kind of navigate a situation. Sometimes it's contacting parents and working with them to help the student. So I wouldn't say it's like ever one specific thing,
Mm-hmm.
but it's trying to facilitate that communication between a lot of different groups to try to help people with whatever they need.
I think too with that, sometimes if we're going more like the mental health route, if some things kind of come up, maybe attendance is terrible, and so as a result of kind of checking into that, we realize that a student is really struggling with their mental health. We might loop in Mrs. King, who is our social worker, and maybe make that, like you said, those connections. Whether it's get the parents in, involve Mrs. King. Maybe there's some resources in the area that we can help.
And sometimes that's resources outside the school, even.
Right.
So I think we try to utilize the resources that are immediately available at the school and with the family, but sometimes it means going outside of those resources
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Okay, that's great. Let's see. What are strategies you employ to promote a positive school culture and student environment?
Well, you'll notice how I'm dressed today. I'm just kidding. I think trying to participate or encourage kids, things like Spirit Week or things like the pep rally or getting involved in things like that, trying to encourage that, trying to support that. That's one thing, but also just encouraging kids to get involved, because the more you're involved, the more you're going to create a positive climate, right? Because you're going to be doing things you like, and then that makes you want to come to school more, and it just kind of snowballs from there. That's one thing I would say.
I think too, just encouraging people to work on those relationships, whether it be, relationships with our individual students or different people in the building, and trying to help students navigate that too, because for some people it's very natural to build relationships, and for some people it's a little harder. So just doing what we can to do that, because if we're all working on relationships, that's going to affect the culture overall, I think. And then like same thing with communication, just trying to have clear communication with everybody so that it just makes things a little easier.
Let's see. How do you stay informed about current trends current issues and trends in education and mental health to better assist students?
I probably don't do as good a job at that. We participate in some professional development stuff each year.
We get a lot of notifications, like our emails and things like that from the state, from the county. We're involved in a county counselor collaboration initiative, which we get a lot of information from them.
So we've been doing that for a while now.
10 years.
And that's a good resource. Sometimes we'll go to like workshops and things like that. Also, there's a number of different listservs and email services, and it's more information than you could spend your whole day doing nothing else but just trying to follow all that stuff. So it's kind of trying to keep an eye on those things and make sure there's nothing new coming out. We also, just collaboration with our school counselors here. We meet once a week. We meet with the junior high counselors
once every 2 weeks.
And then we meet with counselors for the whole district.
Once a month.
We're
supposed to be scheduled every month, but a couple got canceled.
Yeah, so we do that pretty frequently too, and those are always good opportunities to just learn more and keep up to date with what's going on.
Okay. Can you describe a particularly rewarding experience or success story from your time as a school counselor?
Think of it.
Well, one that jumps out, I think many of us, like when somebody gets into the college they wanted, and they're really, really excited, and they come down and they say, guess what? that's really cool because helping them through that process, I think we see the reward there. That's one.
Yeah, and I can't think of like a specific student or specific situation, but it's always rewarding when you can see a student overcome something that's really challenging, and kind of get back on track with where they want to be. Um, I think we've all seen different situations that have been really hard for students to deal with, um, and yeah, just seeing those students fight through that challenge, whatever it may be, or that obstacle that's in front of them, and get to a better place on the other side. I think that's always rewarding.
Well, and I think since we are with kids grades 9 through 12, it's really cool to see the maturity, like the progress, right? And even, I guess since I came from the middle school, I have the luxury of, I had seen a lot of these kids, or my seniors now, I would have had them in middle school. So watching that, and like you said, watching them, I mean, kids are amazing. And they do overcome a lot, and there's hard situations that kids have been in and have worked through, and then you see them get to the other side, and that's really fun.
And we can all think of students that we saw as freshmen. We're like, oh my gosh, this is not going well.
They're not going to make
but
it.
By the time they get to be their senior, you're just amazed at the progress they've made and where they're headed and what their goals are. It's fun to watch.
Let's see. Do you have any advice for seniors leaving the school?
Well, first of all, graduate. That'd be great. No,
You might need to do that.
Might need to do that. That's step one. I would say utilize whatever resources they have, whatever their next steps are going to be. Like if they're going into the workforce, or if they're going into college, or taking a gap year, or doing a service year, whatever, utilize the resources around them, and always keep learning. Like, don't let your education stop in 12th grade. Like, even if you're not going to college, if you're going into the workforce, keep learning so you can keep advancing and get a better job and more opportunities. So I would say a couple of those things
A couple of things, I guess, that I've always tried to just help students think about is whatever you're doing after high school, you're probably going to spend a lot of time and money doing it. And that covers a lot of different things. So ask lots of questions, be curious, and get as many perspectives as you can. I always want students to, you can talk to people at a college, you can talk to people at a job, but talk to people that are out doing the things you want to do, and find out what it takes to get there, because you may talk to 5 different people and they may have 5 different ways how they got to where they're at. And sometimes it's easy to only see one way to get to your goal, but I would say a lot of times there's lots of different ways to get to your goals. And so just getting as many different perspectives as you can, and try to find out the way that maybe makes the most sense to you, because the way I get to a goal may not be the same way as someone else gets to a goal. So just encouraging them to look for different opportunities to get there.
Let's see. How do you guys work together in yourselves?
like
as
in our,
counselors, yeah.
we have a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I would say we spend a lot of time collaborating and trying to dialogue. And maybe that's partly why we're counselors, but I think we all kind of gravitate towards trying to talk through situations and trying to find the best solution and getting as many perspectives as we can. At least that's what I feel like in our office is kind of everybody tries to do the same thing. So, before we make a decision, we'll often times talk to somebody else, say, hey, what do you think about this? Does this make sense? Does this seem like the best option in this situation? And I think the same way was we're kind of looking ahead. We tried to dialogue a lot about, hey, is this going to be the most efficient way to do it? Is this going to be the best way to do it? And try to get different perspectives.
I would say I definitely personally love being on a team because of those reasons. I don't ever want, because there's so many different ideas, right? I value that, but also the gifts on a team. Like all of us are similar in that we pursued the counseling, profession, but we're also very different in what we're good at and what we struggle with and whatever. All of our gifts are different. So that is also very helpful. Like something I'm good at, somebody else can maybe benefit from that, but something he's good at, we can pick each other's brains and play off the strengths.
Let's see. How do you guys help students with college if they want to go?
I would say, to be honest, it's one of the challenges, especially this year. Last year we had a college and career coach that really did a great job for us, and was super helpful with students and was able to devote a lot of time to it. We don't have anybody in that position this year, so it's been challenging to try to do the same work she was doing. But I would say the other thing that's kind of challenging is we want to try to help everybody with their plans after high school, but the reality is there's a ton of steps involved with college, and there's just a lot of little details to impart. So trying to give information that's as helpful to as many students as possible, I think that's kind of the way we approach it, and we've tried to make things available. It's hard to have a conversation with every student. I think we'd love to, but it's hard to find time to do that. So trying to make the resources available and find ways that students can access them.
Well, and I think students have to know too, they really have to pursue things. Like we do have a lot of resources available, and we're certainly available to answer questions. But if we don't know what the questions are, right, then we don't know. So I think having all those resources available, but still students need to really tap into that and almost kind of take it and run, and we help as we can.
And the reality is, I think it has to be a little bit of that slowly releasing some of the responsibility to students, because, when they get out after high school, they may not have as many people there asking them if they're doing everything they're supposed to and following all the guidelines and stuff. So
and timelines.
Building that independence a little bit, I think.
Okay. Now to some more personal questions. What are some of your hobbies outside of school?
I love music. I play piano and sing, so I love that. I love being outside, and my family, we did a lot of camping when the girls were growing up. So I love camping and reading, baking. I tend to stress bake.
Which
if I'm
is fine.
Stressed, I bake and I bring it in. And just hanging out with my family and friends. I enjoy that.
So, I would say most of my time outside of school, I just try to take advantage of being with my family. They're growing up fast, and so I really value that time we have together. Relatively involved in my church, and I really enjoy working on my house, just fixing things up, and I like trying to build stuff and kind of that problem solving thing, trying to figure out a better way we can do things and see if I can design something with the stuff I have, and I enjoy doing that.
Let's see. What does a typical day for you look like?
It starts with a plan that normally goes sideways pretty quickly. No. I think personally, I usually start the day checking email, right? Trying to get caught up in email and phone calls if I had calls overnight or whatever after school. So I try to take care of as much of that as I can. And I might start with a plan as far as which students I need to see. Right now, we're trying to get through as many seniors as we can. So that might be, I start with a plan that way. There would be meetings embedded in that are weekly meetings that we just know we're going to have. Lunch duty. We normally have lunch duty one period a day or one lunch a day.
Yeah.
So I think things are kind of sketched out that way. But if a student comes in and very much needs to be with their counselor right then for whatever reason, maybe there's something going on that's kind of a crisis, a lot of those things go off to the side and we pick them up the next day, and we'll take care of that issue with the student if we can.
I guess I would add to that. there's a lot of prioritization
Mm-hmm.
because I think everybody kind of has a list of students they need to meet with, things they have to do. Um, and it's always trying to get that balance of what's the highest priority right now. Um, I think the other thing I've tried to be more intentional about is, like Mrs. Dickerson said, mapping out my day a little bit, but also kind of having a balance of, okay, I've got to do the things that are I need to do like right away, but I also have to look ahead a little bit. Like if I
Mm-hmm.
just do the things that are right in front of me all the time, I'm not going to be able to get ahead at all, and things aren't necessarily going to get better. So trying to get that balance of, okay, I'm going to do something that I have to do today and get done, but I'm also going to do something that's a month down the road or a week out or something like that, to try to stay ahead of the game a little bit. But a lot of it's just sitting down at the beginning of the day and figure out, how am I going to use my time today? Try and plan it out.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't always follow the plan, but get as much through as much as you can in that day.
Um, let's see. Um, can you share your thoughts on having a healthy work-life balance?
For me, it would be to work really hard while I'm here. And then when I leave, whatever time that is, it could be on time, it could be later, whatever. But when I leave, I try to not
Leave work at
continue to
work.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I try to work hard when I'm here. And like he said, a lot, try to put all those things in. But when I don't have my emails automatically notifying me when they're coming in from work. I can access my work email on my phone, but I don't have it notifying me every time I get an email because that would be really hard. Just things like that. I try to leave work at work if I can.
Yeah, I would echo that. Um, to be honest, that was one of the things that kind of attracted me to being a counselor was you don't maybe have that daily planning and paper grading and stuff like that. It can be intense while you're here, but you can kind of go home and be at home and hopefully not take a lot of work home. There's times we have to do things outside of school, but mostly work is here. So yeah, I think trying to keep a balance with that, and yeah, just keeping a healthy perspective on you can't do everything. I think, especially when I started here, there's so many things to do all the time.
Mm-hmm. And you're never going to get done.
You're never going to get it all
Yeah.
done. So realizing I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to try to prioritize and do the things that seem the most important, and I'm going to have to be okay with that.
I had a secretary she wasn't my secretary, one of the secretaries in the middle school, and I started there because I always wanted to be done with everything before I went home. And I remember her saying all the time, she said, Linda, go home. It will always be here. And I think that's one thing that is good to know, no matter what job probably you do, especially in education.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure you ever totally get done. So do what you can and then pick up the next morning with more, I suppose. But I had to let go of I want to get everything wrapped up neatly and done total before I leave, or what we probably would never leave.
Can you share how scheduling is going for second semester?
We're working
Swimmingly.
On that, yeah, we're working on that plan right now because there's definitely going to be some. Every year it feels like there's something new, and there's something that maybe adds a new challenge. I think.
Do you mean for second semester, or do you mean for next year?
Like this semester or next year, it doesn't matter.
We probably should clarify that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're trying to map out a plan for doing all the scheduling for next school year, and that'll take place during second semester. So one of the things that'll be a little challenging is the semester doesn't end at Christmas break anymore. We come back and we have a couple weeks, so that pushes everything back a little bit for us. So that's gonna give us a little less time to work to get everything done. We'll try to have all the schedules done for next year by the time we leave for spring break. That's our goal. And yeah, it's going to be challenging.
It'll be tight.
We always want to spend as much time as we can with individual students. But that's hard because if you actually timed it out, we probably would have like 2 minutes with each kid, and that's not nearly enough time. So, we try to find different ways that we can get through quickly while still also giving students an opportunity to ask questions, because that planning time is really, really important.
And I would say if we're looking at just schedules for second semester, we're not really changing schedules for second semester just because of an interest change. If there's a correction that needs to take place, we are working on that. Like somebody just emailed me today and said, "Hey, I don't have a fifth period." And I looked, and it looked like she did, but it was a class that had been changed. So those corrections we are going through and making now. We're trying to go through each grade level and seeing who has an error in their schedule, or sometimes kids are catching the errors as well. But we're not really making many changes to the second semester classes unless there's a mistake. So
That's all the time we have for now. Now on to announcements.
I'm Hope, and welcome to Announcements. Tonight, on Friday, December 15th, the Goshen Public Library will be having an anime afternoon, which will happen from 4 to 5:30. The esports club is starting up again. At the Boys and Girls Club, Chester Viella has been named as one of this year's Lilly Announcement Community Scholars. Congrats to Mr. Kaufman for being chosen to join the Indiana chapter of Fia Beta Mu. Christmas break is coming up. Next week from now on, we only have 3 days left of school.
Now on to sports.
I'm Hope, and welcome to sports. Goshen defeated South Bend St. Joseph's 63-55. Goshen was led in scoring by Gage Worthman with 18 points, Andre Williams with 15 points, and Levi Skowalski with 12 points. Goshen JV fell to South Bend St. Joseph's 45-37. Goshen was led in scoring by Bryson Wilson with 11 points. Both Goshen teams travel to South Bend Clay on Tuesday. Scores will be in next week. The Lady Redhawks fell to the visiting Wawasee Warriors 20-29. The Redhawks were led by Kyra Hill with 9 points and 4 rebounds. Rosie Herrera also added 6 points and 4 rebounds. The Lady Redhawks JV lost to the visiting Wawasee Warriors 25-36. The Redhawks were led by Brenna Yoder with 12 points, and Taryn Hill had 4 points. Both Lady Redhawks teams will be back in action on Friday, December 15th, when they travel to Northridge with a 6:15 tip. That's it for sports.
If you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube, or hit whatever button you're supposed to watch, or hit. Don't watch the button, hit it. We're on Spotify. We're on YouTube. We're going to be on Apple Podcasts soon. I know I've been saying that for the past 4 episodes, but it's going to happen someday. Maybe. Possibly. Share this with someone. And watch the other episodes. Watch the next one. Do whatever you want. Have a good day. And I'll see you on the other side of reality. Bye.
Okay.